Hey, this is NFL legend, two-time Super Bowl champion Gary Clark. You know what you got to tune into, right? You know what podcast is off the chain.
President Jason Wright, and you're listening to Burgundy Network Podcast.
What is going on, Washington Nation? Welcome to the Burgundy Network Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Taylor. Joining me, my buddy, one of the OGs, Steve from Let's Talk Washington. What is going on, Steve?
What's going on, bro? Thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
It's been a long time, man. You and me were just talking before the show of how far we go back, how I used to watch one of your old shows back in like 3 years ago, man, on Facebook. All the time. We're just talking about good times. But, guys, this episode, we're going to be breaking down what we saw from the Washington and New England preseason game. I don't care about scores. We're not going to talk about stats too much. We're going to talk about what we see. And, of course, this Believe podcast is brought to you by BetOnline, which is the easiest way to place all of your sports bets. And, guys, I did some bets yesterday. I was terrible. I'm not going to lie to you. I had De'Ami Brown scoring. I had us. Our spread was 2.5 yesterday. My buddy actually did a live bet for $300 that Washington would lose by less than 8. And he was like, dude, this is easy money. And then the 2-point conversion gets overturned, and then they run that long run. And he's like, how does that happen? I said, Vegas knows. But, guys, like I said, BetOnline is the easiest way to place all your sports bets. It's never too early to put Washington as your NFC East champs. Got good odds right now. We're second place behind the Cowboys. All you got to do is go to BetOnline. Start today. Make that first deposit, and you get a 50% welcome bonus. So before the next kickoff against the Bengals, go to BetOnline. Steve, are you a big betting guy?
I'm actually not. So what's crazy is that I wish my co-host could have joined us, but he had some other stuff going on. But he is actually huge into betting, and I wish he would have came on so you guys could have talked that, or he could have broke something down, because I don't bet at all.
My buddy Scott is like, that's like his career.
Yeah.
And that was like one of his worst plays yesterday. He bet like $300. He's like, dude, this is free money. And then that happened. He's like, you've got to be kidding me. But guys, like I said, we're going to break down this game, what we've seen. And like he said, his co-host couldn't make it today. I got Brian on his Joe Buck. You know, he's calling a game right now. It's going like into the fourth quarter. He's like, man, I'm not going to be able to make it. Y'all just roll. But stay tuned. At the end of this episode, me and Brian have an exciting episode this Sunday with a special guest I'm looking forward to talk about some quarterbacks possibly as a little hint. But before this game, me and Brian really sat down and we said, what kind of things are we looking for? We don't want kind of, stats and stuff like this. Look at Rio. Steve's tech guy. Steve's the only guy in the Washington community with doing content that has a tech guy.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
He's the one that's got the payroll. But me and Brian really sat down and we made a list of 6 things that we were looking for in this preseason. And me and Steve are going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. And first thing, we're going to start one of the hottest things. And my thing I wanted to see the most was Taylor Heineke. I put down the Heineke show. So let's talk about quarterbacks. First off, Ryan Fitzpatrick comes out. I'm not going to lie. Every time I see him in a Washington uniform, it's kind of weird because you've seen him in so many uniforms throughout his career, and he's warming up. You're like, man, that's really our quarterback. Like, it still doesn't – like, it hasn't officially really hit me yet.
Yeah.
Do you get that feeling at all? Do you still kind of feel kind of weird with Fitzpatrick when he goes out there?
It does, but it actually kind of excites me too, because, like, so I'm not saying that Fitzpatrick is the best quarterback, but to have a quarterback to be somewhat excited about that can actually give us something different – I don't know. This is like what I've been excited in a long time about quarterbacks in general.
Yeah, there's no more checkdowns coming. No third and longs. We're throwing little screen passes to J.D. McKissick.
Yeah, right.
One thing that stood out right away from Fitzpatrick was his confidence. And I love the way he throws the ball. He has such a zip about it. Yep. One of my buddies is actually a quarterback at New Mexico State. Shout out to Luke Wilson. But when he throws a ball, I hate catching it because he has an arm. Like it has some zip to it. And Fitzpatrick, his throws really stayed out to me in that same way. And you watch that one pass where he throws it to Logan Thomas, that beautiful one over his shoulder where he comes back and gets it. His release point, everything is crisp. It's clean. It shows that he has that experience. I'm excited to see what he brings throughout the season. I've been telling people this offense is not at all what we've been used to in the past. It's going to be so much more exciting. We finally have these weapons. probably our best wide receiver core since 2012. Would you agree?
Yes, 100%. You know what's
And
crazy is
Logan
like
Thomas.
for sure. And like Diami, even though to me, it was a small sample size, I think it was like, we'll get into that, but like he
looks good.
But he was burning people, man. Oh my gosh. And just Heineke couldn't even get him the ball. Man, it was killing me.
So let's talk about Heineke. Fitz looked good. He didn't have a lot going on, not a huge sample size. I saw enough to be like, all right, Fitz, you might throw some interceptions this season. I don't care if it's like 10 to 15. If you do, 30, 35 touchdowns, I'm fine with that because our defense is going to keep us in the games. And Fitzpatrick doesn't have that, man, I have to win this game. Like, I have to score on this drive because our defense sucks. Yeah. He's had that in the past. He doesn't have to worry about that now. Our defense is going to help him out.
For sure.
So we have Heineke. And I still had people last night on Twitter saying, oh, man, Heineke looks great. He's definitely going to be competing with Fitzpatrick. I didn't get that at all. I had the feeling of, okay, Heineke looks good. He's making some plays. But then there were some questionable plays. That home run one to Hemingway, who looked terrible last night, by the way. I'm not going to roast him too much on this episode. But, I feel like he's forcing too much. Sometimes he rolls out when he doesn't really have to. Especially on that I think of third and long to Jarrett Patterson, who we'll definitely talk about, where he picked up that first down. I was like, there's a couple times where Heineke just rolls out when he doesn't need to. Like, trust your pocket. The offensive line looks great. Stand up. Show that confidence that you use with your feet and just standing in the pocket and delivering a strong pass. Like, yes, you are mobile. That is something Fitzpatrick is not at all. And every time you do make a play, like with your mobility, that's something that helps you out. But I want you to sit there and stand in the pocket and say, all right, I trust my line. My wide receiver is going to get open. If you really had to grade Heineke's performance last night or, kind of bicker or anything, what really stood out to you where you're like, I don't know about this?
I think his arm strength. It literally like he forgot how to throw a deep ball. Because so we saw in the playoff game. Now I don't think we saw too many home runs, but we saw him go, stretching it downfield, and that was got us excited. In the playoffs because we're so used to people checking it down. But Diami Brown got so open so many times, and it burnt his man, and it was just like overthrown. And I'm like, bro, you can't overthrow this guy. So overthrow him, it was like, oh my gosh, you're killing me right now. I think he just looked a little bit nervous and uncomfortable. Maybe coming off an injury, he was nervous about it. Coming back because of the shoulder injury. But I would give it, to me, I would give it like a low C, high D grade. He did not look good to me. That's not the Heineke that we saw against Tampa Bay at all.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting that kind of Heineke every single game.
Right.
But I do want to see him, growing in the offense that he's been around before with, Ron. Right. And just kind of evolving his game a little bit. We signed him late. Obviously, everyone knows his story. I'm not expecting some guy that's been in camp, for so long and like some veteran. That's Fitzpatrick. I'm not going to put Fitzpatrick expectations on Taylor Heineke. That's not fair for us.
Right.
But I did see some good things. Yeah. And one name that actually Ron talked about a lot today was Steven Montes. I paid close attention to his press conference today. He said that he really liked what he saw out of Montes, especially what he put on his plate with the hurry-up offense in that 2-minute drill. He said he was flawless. He said, quote, unquote, he looked so relaxed. And, every time he came over to the sideline to talk to Ron, they communicated everything well. He knew everything he was supposed to do. And it ended well. Like, they scored, and then that 2-point conversion to AGG, catch, no catch, call whatever you want. I think it was a catch, stupidest thing ever. For sure. But anyways, still, he put the ball exactly where it needed to go on that 2-point conversion. I thought it was a great play. I saw some confidence. And Montes, he's an athletic guy, too. He can roll out and do some play actions and some little boots and stuff like that, too, kind of like what Heineke does. Once again, I'm not going to put huge expectations of come on, Montes, I need you to be a QB1 kind of player.
Right.
He was on the practice squad last year, undrafted free agent. But I watched enough of him at Colorado to know what kind of player he is and what to expect. After watching Montes, do you feel like we don't have as much of a concern with depth because, if Kyle Allen can't go, if he is in the IR, maybe Montes is QB3. Are you at all worried about that depth after last night, or do you say, we have enough to kind of get us by and win some games?
I think I'm okay with it. But to me, if you ask me, I am not the biggest Kyle Allen fan.
Whoa. I love Kyle Allen.
I say this because when he had his breakout in Carolina, The thing is that it was high. He was doing great, but then people figured him out, and then he just slowly. If you actually look at the tape, like he was literally one of the worst quarterbacks after that.
It was bad.
And I think that it's like another Colt McCoy syndrome type of deal, where it's like this is Ron's boy, that's his golden boy. I'm not saying he's horrible. I just think there's too high of praise, and it's. Yes, no, for sure. Yeah, 100% Chris. And it's just I don't know. Like, do I think that Montes could push for a spot? Possibly. But to me, like you were saying, it really impressed me because to me, he didn't look that great in camp. When that one day I went to camp, it didn't look good. As good as
he looked really bad.
Yeah, no, he did not look good. And so like when he took command of that offense, I was like, okay, when the lights are on and when you're under the spotlight, that's what counts. I don't care what you do in practice. I don't care whatever. That's when it counts. So it really impressed me. So depth does not bother me whatsoever. Do I think we're going to win games with Montes? We'll see. But,
Yeah, I'd rather you show up on game day than be some training camp hero to where you look like, Tom Brady at training camp and then you look lost after that. But I came away saying, okay, maybe us getting Fitzpatrick and not, going all in and trading up in the draft, which we're going to talk a lot about Sunday on that episode. I felt like we are okay. I felt a little bit more relaxed. It's funny, they were talking about before the game. Joe Theismann's like, if Fitzpatrick just goes out here and looks good, the fan base is like, okay. We feel okay. Like, we didn't know what to expect with Fitzpatrick. The whole Fitz magic thing.
Yeah.
He's like, if he just comes out and looks solid, fans are going to just sigh relief and feel a lot, more relaxed. And I do. I feel much better after seeing how he played early. And I will say, we'll talk about some wide receivers. Fitzpatrick has some obvious targets that he loves, and we'll talk about that coming up here soon. So one of the first things on Brian's list that I was interested in seeing also was how the O-line was going to sort out. And right off the bat, it started Charles Leno, left tackle, Schweitzer, left guard, Chase Roullier, center, obviously, Sheriff, and then Cosney on the right side, who, by the way, Sam Cosney probably had the best game out of anyone yesterday. He's been the second highest rated rookie in preseason so far. I think they said he didn't allow a single pressure yesterday. I saw a tweet sometime today, but he didn't allow a single pressure in any of his dropbacks yesterday. Basically, he had a flawless performance, which is funny because so many people are saying, man, maybe we should have kept Morgan Moses.
No.
Like, what was Ron doing? He's getting eaten up by Chase Young and Montes Sweat. Like, duh. Like,
right.
You can have a bulldozer there, and, like, them guys are going to knock that thing over and get to the quarterback. Like, it doesn't matter. So, maybe, the training camp, what he's been going through in Richmond and Ashburn, it shows up on game day. He looked phenomenal.
No, and that was the biggest thing with Montes. My bad. Montes said we're here to make each other better. So of course they're going to give it his all, so he knows what to expect, and now he learned from it. And they said in the film room, the dude is just like, now I wouldn't say a genius, but he's really good with film breakdown. And when he makes a mistake, he doesn't make it again. So people that weren't high on Sam Cosmi when he fell to us, I was like, this is a beautiful pick, and I know it's going to pan out because he fell and he was supposed to go higher, and I love the pick. I like him better than Morgan. I hate Morgan Moses. Not hate him, but I just wasn't the biggest fan of Morgan Moses. I
can't talk about it. That's Lake's guy, and he's from over here in Wahoo country in the UK.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. I just think that the plays that I saw,
love Cosmi too.
I think
that's the better plays Cosmi.
For sure.
And Ron said today when he was talking about it, he said, we have a lot of different pass protections, and he learned them right away. Mm-hmm. He said every single one yesterday he did perfectly, and he said that really impressive, just how quickly he's learning everything. Right. So it's turning out to be a phenomenal pick. But the one thing that really stood out to me, I was checking the snap counts after the game. The person who had the most snap counts on the offensive line yesterday was Sadiq Charles. That kind of surprised me. He had 42. Cosmi had 41. And they had Sadiq Charles playing, I want to say all of them. I didn't go back and watch every single snap for Sadiq Charles, but I want to say every single one I saw, he was at left tackle. Which is funny because, we heard, he might be left guard. He might be better off left guard. He might be on the right side because, the depth chart showed him as, a backup for the right side.
Right.
And then, sure enough, in the game, he's playing 42 snaps on left tackle. And that was a guy who we didn't see any of last year because of his injuries and everything going on. So, I like that. We do have depth at the offensive line now. And then they rotated Wes Schweitzer a lot with who's our other left guard? I'm going blank. Eric Flowers.
Yep.
Flowers came in second drive with the starter. So I was, that's one thing I want to see too is who really started that left guard spot and like how long did it last? Ron Rivera had them flipping with the ones. So right. I think that's probably the closest battle still playing out
for sure.
Is who ends up in the left guard spot. And I feel like they're both pretty close.
Yeah.
Steven Sims making the 53rd.
Nope.
No. That's a quick, easy one, I will say. No. He did look pretty good yesterday. We're going to talk about some wide receivers here in a second. But actually, let's go. That's next up on my list, actually, is wide receivers. So, obviously, Terry McLaurin, right out the gate, looked like Terry, going up, getting it, doing what he does best. But do you know how many people were targeted yesterday?
I don't know that count.
The most ever, 20. That's a lot. 20 different people were targeted by a quarterback in the game yesterday. And almost all of them caught one except the AGG with the 2-point conversion and stuff like that. Just stupid place. But 20 people, that's a ton.
Yeah, that's
coming from a team that's had wide receiver problems for so long.
Yeah.
20 people. Wow. But still, even with all that, there's 3 people that did show up. AGG had that one drop, whatever. Kelvin Harmon had like one catch, didn't really see anything. Cam Sims didn't even have a single catch. So, like, in the game where I wanted to see one of those 3 guys stand up, not a single one of those guys did. But 3 guys showed me flash. Adam Humphries, who I've been saying is a lock on this team because that's Fitzpatrick's dude from back in Tampa Bay. That is his safety blanket.
Yep.
The 2 third downs he had, one was picked up by Humphries, and then the other one's incomplete, but it was he threw it to Humphries again.
Yep. And I think he fell, didn't he? It wasn't even a fault of the quarterback. He fell. So
he slipped up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've been telling people he's a lack. People are like, no, not just because he's a vet. That's not like he's not going to make the team when you've got guys like Harmon and Cam. I'm like, I swear he's going to make it.
Yep.
And to me, that definitely showed it. But 2 of the guys, Dax Milne looked really good later on in the game. Showed some flash after the catch. But then DeAndre Carter, I've been telling people, he's going to be the sneaky guy. And he returned some punts yesterday, and so did Dax Milne. I did not expect Dax Milne to be returning punts. And Ron said, all right, let's put him out there late.
Right.
Do you think that we keep 6 wide receivers or 7? And do you think the special teams players what makes the difference in how many receivers we keep?
Yes. So it's actually funny because I was actually talking about this with Corey last night. Go shout out to Corey. But I like you said, it was a battle for that last spot with those 3, Kelvin Harmon, AGG, and Cam Sims. And there was also a possibility that either 2 or all 3 of them don't make it. And I told him, I said, watch out for DeAndre Carter because that guy is like a lesser version of Curtis Samuel. He does it all. They were running.
He's so fast.
Yeah, they were running. He can do special teams. He can run out the slot. He can go on the outside. He is really good separation and quick feet. And then on top of that, they can run him out the backfield and run him in motion. The dude is so quick. He is like a better Steven Sims, in my opinion. And that is my dark horse of making that last spot. I mean, I think that Dax will make it because I think they drafted him for a reason. That's just me. I could be wrong, though. But I think that we keep 6, and I don't know. A lot of people are high on Cam Sims, but we've seen this train before. He has a great preseason. He has a great training camp, and then he doesn't even make the roster. Or when the injury happens, that's when he finally gets to play. Yeah. But
he has a long injury history back to before Alabama.
And I want him to do so well. And I've met him and I've talked to him, but it's just like he just can't get it right, and it pisses me off because that physical being of how big he is and how quick he is for his size. I'm like, dude, all you have to do is just stay healthy and stop dropping like these wide open passes. But
he had a great season last year that helps him out a ton.
For sure.
But can you do that consistently? And are you willing to cut a guy like, AGG, who they drafted pretty high last year, hasn't shown much either, or a guy like Kelvin Harmon? Right. Are you willing to cut one of those 2 guys and send them to another team because of what Cam Sims might do?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
I'm with you with DeAndre Carter. I love his speed. I love what he did on punt returns. And I've been Corey knows this. He rides me hard about it all the time. I've been the biggest Danny Johnson hater for kick returns. And he actually looked really good last night, too.
Yeah.
So, like, Carter returning punts, cool with it. Dax Milne actually looked really good returning punts, too. So, I feel like they keep one of those 2 guys. I feel like they can't keep both. I feel like that's too much.
I mean, I'll say, but Ron said that as long as you can play multi-flex positions, that's exactly what he wants in his entire team. So having a punt return guy as a backup, or keeping both of them could benefit, because if one goes down or if one gets tired, then you can have that flexibility. But I get what you're saying though. But it's just I think flexibility could separate really.
And they had DeAndre Carter running a couple like jet sweeps and stuff in training camp, like a couple little running plays. We're like, okay, I didn't expect to see that either.
Yeah, for sure.
Got stuffed by Chase Young, of course. But and then De'Ami Brown. Talk about him real quick. I've been talking about him for weeks now. Having a guy like him who can play on the outside, and he's shown he's not just a deep threat guy, it kind of makes it easier to say no to Cam Sims, AGG, or Kelvin Harmon.
Right.
Because you do have this, I think, the steal of the draft.
For sure.
And like you said, Heineke overthrew him that one time. He had a slant route across the middle. It's kind of behind him. That was from Taylor Heineke. He still called it, brought it in, showed good body control. The DB tried ripping it away, and DB's like, daggone it, I had a pick if I can rip that out of his hands.
Yeah.
But he couldn't. So he's showing strong hands. I feel really good about that trio of Terry, Curtis Samuel, and De'Ami Brown. I'm excited to see that. But still, one of those three guys that all have like the same skill set, one of those guys have to step up these next two games. If not, I will keep DeAndre Carter over Cam Sims, AGG, and Kelvin Harmon if they're not going to show me anything.
For sure.
I have no problem at all with that. So after that, one of Brian's things he had was depth at the pass rush, which is interesting because Montes Sweat didn't get to play yesterday.
Right.
Obviously, Chase Young did play, and he let us know very quickly. There's nothing better than Chase sacking Scam Newton. Obviously, I hate Scam Newton with the passion because of this flag right here. But seeing seeing Chase Young, we could talk about him for a whole hour, but we're not going to.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the depth. And it's funny because I saw Jason Smith-Williams. He did pretty good last night too. Showed a lot of speed. He got in the backfield a couple times. But I really wanted to see what Shaka Toney and William Bradley King were going to do. And I said last night watching, I'm like, yo, these boys are exhausted, like quick. They were gassed.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I was watching Ron's press conference today, and he's like, yeah, I gotta talk to Tony, and he calls William Bradley King BK.
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta talk to Shaka and BK because they came out like with their heads on fire, and they gave all he had the first like 3 or 4 plays. He's like, they were gassed.
Yeah.
So they came over to the sideline like, falling over. He said, we got to work on their conditioning. This is their first time playing full speed in pads in a while.
Right.
Hitting somebody else. He said, we got to get those boys conditioned. But do you at all have any kind of concern? Obviously got rid of Kerrigan. We add these 2 guys late in the draft. How confident are you in the depth at the pass rush?
I'm okay. I think Shaka Toney showed. I'm surprised he fell that late. Now, I'm not saying he's some premier pass rusher, but he played some good snaps at Penn State. Yeah. I'm not really too familiar with William Bradley King. I've seen some tape on him. I think he looked pretty decent. But, to me, let the young guys go. And on top of that, the injury history of Sweat and Chase Young, there really isn't any. They didn't really – they pretty much played almost every single time they were on the field.
Chase had a little groin problem, but it didn't keep him out long.
That's not really – to me, that's not anything to worry about. I'm okay with having young depth players that you can sit behind Chase Young and Montes Sweat to learn. I like Shaka Toney a lot. When he fell, I was like, that's, again, steal. Ron hit, I think, on almost every one of these draft picks, and it just set us up for success.
It's funny because they were asking him how impressive you've been with this rookie class, and he's like, man, every single guy, down to Bates, St. Juice, you said, the 2 edge rushers, Cam Cheeseman. We'll talk about kicking woes and see if it's on him or not. But he's and I've been watching. I'm like, this is probably the best draft class I've seen in my recent history, because there's not one guy where I'm like, that was questionable. Let me see who else we could have drafted instead of that guy.
For sure.
So that definitely stands out to me. One thing I had on my list was, where are the linebackers going to play? And this is one we're going to talk about for a minute, because there's 2 different storylines with the linebacking core. But I noticed right away exactly how I've been projecting it to go. Cole Holcomb as the Sam linebacker, Jamin Davis is the Mike, and then Bostic as the Will. Everyone seems to think Jamin Davis had a bad game yesterday. Said he was struggling, said he looked lost. Did you get that out of it? Are you at all worried about Jamin Davis? Are you like, look, it's the first game, he's still learning. He's the middle linebacker. That's a tough spot to just jump right into.
Right. Yeah, I'm not worried at all. Well, who posted it? Somebody posted it today and said, what I got out of yesterday's game was it's the first preseason game.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who tweeted it. I'm sorry that I forgot who tweeted it, but it was like, yeah, like you have even if someone had a bad game, you have nothing to be worried about. Nothing. Like they haven't played together in full pads against somebody else. Playing against each other gets redundant. You know exactly what they're going to do. Like that doesn't in game is what
there's no
where it's at.
risk. There's
Right.
no like, oh, if the offense scores, who cares? This is practice.
Right. It's practice.
But if the other team scores, you're like, oh shoot, that was on me. That was my responsibility.
Right. And you play the same people every single day. And so now you're playing against other people that you've never played against at times. And so again, the middle is the head. That's the guy calling the plays. That's the captain. And you're putting a rookie there and expecting him to freaking be what, Luke Kuechly? Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Like, where's Fred Warner at?
Yeah, like I think that he's okay. Now, there's a couple of plays where I'm like, okay, you got turned around. You got, you could have done better. Yes. But again,
he hesitated.
He's a rookie. But on top of that, he's college. He only really started for like a year. So again, what are we talking about?
He just had a breakout year at Kentucky that last season. But it does help having, Del Rio and then Ron Rivera being a former linebacker,
For sure.
knowing what's going through his mind, knowing what his thought process is. And he broke it down beautifully today. He said, I'm not at all worried about Jamin Davis. And he actually threw out a number. He said the number of reps I want him to, hit until he's, should be perfecting his role is 5,000. That's a lot of snaps.
Yeah, it is. Wow.
5,000 snaps. I don't know how many games that is. Like if you play a full game, that's a good little bit.
Yeah.
And he said the one thing he just stood out to him was, there's as a middle linebacker, like you have like your natural instinct, and then you have the thought of let me not pursue a guy and let a big play happen, which John Bostic did a ton last night, over tackling guys, running past the guy, and the running back just going right by him. He's like, oh, shoot, I should have just stopped and been more patient. So he said, I want to see that clicker in Jamin Davis saying, oh, this is my natural instinct. This is where the play's going. Go get it.
Right.
Instead of being like, oh, everyone's going this way. Let me just hang out here just in case something crazy happens. So he said 5,000 reps. I'm not going to keep counting. I'm going to let Ron take care of that. But I expect to see him progress throughout the season, and I'm not at all worried about it. And like I said, tight ends take forever to progress, and I feel like linebackers, it takes a while. Not as long as a tight end, but it still does take some time. So
either you have God's gift or you need to, progress. Yeah.
One guy that kind of stood out to me, and I knew nothing about him, but Justin Phillips, one of our linebackers, number 45, he actually led the team in tackles. But every single play, like in the second half, I was like, man, I don't know who this Phillips dude is, but like he is there every single play. And that's one thing that's been chirped on Twitter. Is like we have, concerns at the depth for linebacker spot. Yeah. Like we need to bring in a vet. And then, they've been throwing out like KJ Wright and guys like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something if we were to add like a late cut guy, if you think a linebacker would be one of the spots that we consider?
So a lot of people don't like crap. You just said his name. Why am I blanking on his name?
What's up, T-Rev?
No. What's going on, brother? John Bostic. Granted, he's not the greatest cover guy, but I think
he's a liability in coverage.
For sure. But I brought up on Corey's show last night that a lot of people don't know that he was the only person on our team last year that had over 100 tackles. So to me, now granted, tackling isn't everything, got it. But I think there's literally like a role for every single linebacker. So if you're getting tackled, you're getting in the backfield, stuff like that, you're doing your job, or at least a job. So I'm okay with those three. Depth depends. So Justin Phillips, I've heard of him, but I didn't. I
knew nothing about him. Yeah, I just saw he was a tackling machine last night when Boston was letting dudes run past him.
I knew about him because I play Madden. But like Khalid Hudson, I think that he's still raw, but he's a fast, good coverage linebacker. Oh, yeah. I think we have like Jared Norris on the team. We have a couple other guys.
David Mayo.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that is it necessary? No. Would it be nice to have? Yeah. But I think
if the right guy becomes available.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think that's going to be a make or break for our defense. Because I mean, look at them last year. We were second in the league, and we had not Jamin Davis. We didn't have, we didn't have the greatest linebackers. So I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Cole Holcomb definitely stepped up last season. I
For
saw
sure.
a big transformation,
Yep.
not only his tackling, but his coverage. And I think he's going to be even better this year. But speaking of tackling, I wanted to see the secondary and really see how Del Rio roll these guys out, because everyone's like, who's going to play free safety? Where are the corners going to line up?
Yeah.
And this might have been the biggest surprise to everyone last night who really broke down tapes. What wasn't a surprise is that Cam Curl and Landon Collins were the two safeties starting. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of Cam Curl free safety and Landon Collins and strong safety. But what a lot of people don't know, and it's so funny because I tweeted this out last night and then I saw it coming out this morning. I was like, I saw something.
Yeah.
So Cam Curl actually played 7 snaps as the box safety.
I saw him come down too last night.
A lot.
Yeah.
Landon Collins only did it twice, and he's our box safety.
Right.
Cam Curl did it 7 times. He played free safety twice, and he played in the slot 3 times.
I noticed that as too. Like, he came down, and I saw Landon scoot back, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's a lot of different disguises, but that really threw me off because we kind of consider Cam Curl being the coverage guy, Landon Collins being the hybrid linebacker, box safety, too big. That just shows you, like, he is, like, in good shape right now.
Right.
Or they wouldn't be throwing him back there by himself.
For sure.
But, yeah, Landon Collins also played 9 snaps at free safety. He played on the D-line once as, like, a strong safety blitz.
Right.
And then also one thing that I tweeted out after the Friday Night Football was, after everything I've seen with practice, I firmly believe that St. Juice is going to be on the outside with William Jackson III, and they're going to put Kendall Fuller back in the slot, or at least the nickel corner.
Yep.
St. Juice played every single snap as the outside corner. He didn't play one single snap as the nickel corner, and sure enough, Kendall Fuller did. There was a drive a couple times. He was on the field for a while, St. Juice was. But I noticed it was a 3rd down with Cam Newton was still in the game. And he looked phenomenal on the outside. He was always handling the bigger guy. Every time the bigger wide receiver moved, it was like St. Juice was on that guy. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what you want, a guy at 6'3", 202 probably right now. Yep. That's what I'm excited to see. But how much did it really throw you off that, Cam Curl might be our starting free safety? Is that concerning or no?
No, I think, again, interchangeability, like the fact that they can both, like you said, disguising, and the fact that they're using so many disguises of, okay, who's going to be in the box, who's going to be the free. That's not for us to find out. That's not for us to know. That's for them to know and say, hey, we're going to change things up to throw everybody off. And so I like the way that you can interchange, because now I don't know if this plays anything, because this sounds kind of stupid, but so in Madden, they actually have Cam Curl and Landon Collins as a strong safety. And then they had, I think, like Everett and McCain and everybody else on the free side. Free safety. So, like, again, interchangeable. The fact that they can change it up, but his scheme fit on Madden is a free. So, again, I know I'm referring to Madden, but just so everyone can kind of see it, is that's how Madden sees the depth chart going. So, like, the fact that they can be interchangeable, I mean, like, it doesn't bother me at all. The fact that they can play both, I mean, that's even better.
Well, that's great disguising, because the offense is going to be like, all right, we've got Cam Curl up here in the box. Landon Collins is out there where they can switch up.
Right.
You've got Kendall Fuller who can play free safety. Is he actually really in the nickel spot, or is he going to go back? Like, there's so many things you have to worry about.
Yep.
And then you've got that front 4 rushing at you at the same time.
That's a fact.
Like, that helps out the secondary so much, having that pass rush. Like, I can't stress that enough. Having a good linebacker core and a good pass rush just helps your secondary a ton. So that's one thing I'm going to keep watching and seeing what kind of pattern, because Jack Del Rio could just week 1 throw out something completely different we've never seen. And this has just been all smoke the whole time.
Yep, for sure.
Del Rio's like, no, take this. Like, this, all y'all's notes just crumbled up, throw it away, because this is something y'all have never seen before.
Right.
But it's funny because so many people like, get Landon Collins off this team. I don't care about the contract. Cam Curl's here to stay. Collins is hurt. Like, he doesn't have a spot on this team anymore. And Del Rio's like, well, I'm gonna play both. Like, what do you have to say about that? They're both gonna be on the field at the same time. So I love seeing that, and I love seeing St. Juice out there locked down Kendrick Bourne on that one play. I've watched that multiple times. That quick little slant route, he locked that son down. Yeah. Love St. Juice. this wasn't on my list, but it was added to my list after the game. And a lot of people were talking about this. And Ron says, don't worry. This is what preseason is for. It is a unit problem. But do we have an actual problem with Dustin Hopkins? Like, how high on your panic meter are you right now?
There is no panic meter. Since last year, the year before that, I have said, get this man off of the team. Like, there are so many times I can count. I can't even count it on both hands where this guy has single-handedly lost us the game. You go back to our London game against Cincinnati, he lost us the game. Bro, like,
sorry, Andy, I hope you weren't there.
But like literally, I don't understand what they're keeping him around for. Like, he is not good. I don't know, bro. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, he can be so consistent, but then you literally miss like the easiest crap to win the game or something like that.
But he'll make the 55-yard,
right, bro. Like,
and then he'll miss the 30. You're like, how's that real?
I don't get it. Like, literally the first time he kicked, I literally texted my co-host, Will, look at this guy, missed it. I was like, oh my gosh, bro, that was like a 30-yarder. That's almost an extra point now. Like, I don't understand how you're missing. Like, he needs to be off. I think we need to go another route, but I don't know why he's still around. I don't.
The hard thing with kickers is it's so hard to just pick up a kicker and say, all right, he's good enough.
Right.
And like with Hopkins, you know he can make those big kicks. Like he did it last year. Like, how long was the field goal in the Steelers game? It was pretty long.
Yeah, I think it was about 55, I believe, or something.
Yeah, but and you know he can hit those, and not everyone can. But then you have the one against who was like the Lions, the Giants. Like, you have these easy kicks to win these games that we should have won.
Blowing it.
And he just said, no, this whole game's been a complete waste. I'm gonna make sure we come up just a little short on this one and kick it wide left.
Right.
So, like, if it's me, I'm at least bringing in a guy.
Yeah.
But for Ron, he's like, he didn't say no. He didn't say they're not bringing a guy in. But he said this is a unit and sync problem. You know, we do have, Cameron Cheeseman, who was actually the #1 ranked long snapper coming out of high school, going to the University of Michigan, by the way, which is, I guess, why you draft him in the 5th.
For sure.
And then my guy Fletcher out of Alabama was drafted soon after him by the Carolina Panthers. So, like, drafting a long snapper, it's normal. Don't throw shade at Ron for doing it, because if we would have got some guy even worse, y'all would be barking at him for getting rid of Nate. But still, it's a snapper to holder to kicker sync. And he said it's just not in sync right now, but this is exactly why you have the preseason to wrinkle these things out.
Yeah.
So do they bring a guy in? I don't know. I kind of hope so. But Ron's like, I would much rather just keep these 3 guys and just more reps. Like, you can't just throw reps and say, all right, here's your experience. Here's y'all's chemistry.
Right.
Like, you just got to keep doing it.
For sure.
Will it turn out well? I don't know. Like, last thing we need is week 1, FedEx Field is packed, and, it's 24-24. Dustin Hopkins goes to win it and misses. Like,
bro,
that is the last thing we need at a packed stadium again. Like, knock on wood, we're all there. But I think that's something to watch. Maybe if he starts declining more in his last 2 games, Ron pulls the trigger and is like, all right, we got to do something about this. But I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye on it. But what are you really looking forward to in his last 2 games before the season officially starts? Is there one thing that you're like, I didn't see enough of this, I need more of that these next 2 games?
So speaking of the D line, the depth, I just thought about it. And the one thing that I did see is that Sony Michel, White, were literally like, they were spreading them apart like the Red Sea. Like, and they were running. I saw that they were literally getting like at least 5 yards a carry. And that was kind of concerning to me. It was like, okay, wait a minute. Like, we were good at stopping the run last year. I don't know what this is. This is not what I signed up for.
I think Matt Ioannidis coming back in will help with that.
No, for sure.
They definitely, Damian Harris too. They had some big runs where like, all right.
Yeah.
Not to mention that one on the very end where Troy Apke had the contained spot and let him run right past him for
that's another guy.
Like 90 yards.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But no, I think that so that was one, and again, my biggest thing, like I said on Corey's show last night, it was more so of just this log jam in the back end of the receiver group. We need something, especially for me, AGG. Like, we spent a 4th round draft pick on you. come on, bro. Like, and I know you were hyping him up so much, and Adam was hyping him up, and he looked good, but it's just like, I think he has the intangibles, but I think it's just like, come on.
I agree with you. I want one wide receiver to say, look, I want that final spot.
Right.
Because now we're literally talking about DeAndre Carter or Dax Milne making it over one of those guys, because De'Ami Brown is that other outside guy that we've been missing. Like, you're okay cutting one of those other three guys like we talked about. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And I want to keep watching this defensive puzzle, see what Del Rio's thinking, see what Ron's putting out there, different schemes, see who's moving around. And I just love watching these rookies, man. Like you said, I think we hit a home run draft class. I'm looking forward to seeing these new young guys come up here. And Sam Cosney, that's a bad dude. He was throwing some pancakes.
Oh my gosh, he's fast too, bro. And oh my gosh, like he really, I'm telling you, bro, like, and it pisses me off. I know I refer to Madden, but I play Madden like all the time. But like, they did my man dirty and did not give him a star dev. And bro, it pisses me off. Like, he's underrated.
Not enough people got us the superstar or a star in
no.
I don't even play it, man. I'm not even gonna get it.
I even though it sucks or they had got really bad reviews, I just love playing Madden. So, but like, see, I also like being the underdog though. So don't give our people what they deserve. That's fine. But they'll show you. Trust me, they're gonna show you. They're gonna show you
Sundays when it matters most. Wait till that college football game comes back. Y'all ain't gonna see me for a long time. Like, dang, Josh hasn't done a podcast in a month. Where is he at? I'm at year 10 as the head coach of Alabama. Me and my buddy used to play the old one still, like on his PS2 all the time. And like, if I still had it right now, I'd play the mess out of it.
There's actually a mod
go ahead.
on the computer, if you didn't know, for 14. People play it, stream it all the time, bro.
Bro, I'm about to get on that. I seen Coach Doug's for Barstool or whatever. Yep. And Big Cat played it. It went huge during COVID. Yeah. Like, they broke that out to where they hired Doug's as like one of their Barstool guys.
Yeah, people are still streaming it.
Awesome. But guys, we have 2 more preseason games left. Whether you're like the Burgundy blocker and you don't care about these preseason practice games, I just love seeing our guys run out on the field. I don't care. I'm throwing shade. I don't care. I love seeing our guys run out on the field because I'm a huge fan of this team. Regardless, we could be going out and playing chess against another team, and I would still be hyped, sweating like crazy. But guys, we have 2 more games until we pack out FedEx against the Chargers. Yes, sir. Steve, I know your show's kicking back up. Let everyone know where they can find your stuff so they are subscribed, ready to go before you go live again. I'll be there.
Yes, sir. So we go live Tuesday, August 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will actually be our slot. So every single Tuesday, 7 p.m., me and Will be there giving you guys live. You can follow us on Twitter at Let's Talk Wash, Instagram, Let's Talk Wash, Facebook, Let's Talk Washington, and YouTube, Let's Talk Washington. And it's going to be a great time. I'm so pumped, bro. I'm so pumped.
Bro, like, honestly, you're one of the dudes that got me into the game. And I tell people all the time, like, Steve's like one of the OGs. Like, there's some other guys, been doing it for a long time. You and me used to talk all the time. And I'm like, man, like, I see what Steve's doing, like House of Hoodies and everything going on. Like, that was like the good days. And I was like, I'm gonna get in the game.
Oh, I had it. I still have my House of Hoodies hanging up, bro.
It's probably Haskins. We don't want to see it. But guys, this Sunday, me and Brian will be joined by former quarterback Jason Campbell to talk about quarterback play. Should Washington have traded up in the draft for one of these guys looking good in camp? Are we going to look towards next year's draft? He covers college football. He's got the wrong college team. He's probably not going to like my banner being a former Auburn quarterback, but we're looking forward to it. Can't wait to talk quarterback play with Jason and just get his thoughts on everything for this season. But guys, this episode's brought to y'all by BetOnline, so sign up and get that 50% free bonus. And subscribe to Steve. Follow Steve. Let's talk Washington because we're talking Washington. Let's go. And this is going to be one hell of a season. So, Steve, appreciate you coming on, man.
Sir.
Looking forward to this season.
Yes.